Get everybody into the room. Let's see who pops up first. Waiting on my guest. Miss Scruggs, if you can see this, you can go ahead and pop on in. Let's see. All right. Oh, here we go. All right, people are starting to come in. Yeah. How
Hi.
are you?
Fine.
Okay. So just get started. So we're letting people come into the room. To everybody that's coming to the room, thank you for joining the conversation. As you're get into the video, by all means, please share this, like it, share it. We're gonna let a few more folks come into the room. By all means, comment, send your good energy. This is going to be a very deep conversation on so many levels. I'm excited. Me and my guests, we've talked a lot. We're going to get into some things, but I want to do some kind of like some introductory stuff to the last show. Thank everybody for tuning in to the last show about living with HIV. Appreciate that. Thank you for liking it, sharing it. Want to remind everybody that if you missed previous conversations, you can always go to my YouTube page. And the link to the YouTube page is on my Facebook page. You should just see it right where my profile picture is. But the videos or the conversations are also on my Facebook page. If you kind of just search my videos, which are public, you can watch them there too. So by all means, like those, share those if you want to. Let's see. But for this conversation, to all the women, because this applies a lot to the women, send your good energy. Like this, share this as much as you can. Try to make this the most shared conversation I've done thus far because it's going to be big. And my guest, she'll need all the good energy she can. So by all means, everybody come into the room, like it, share it. We're about to get started soon. Want to give more people a chance to come into the room. Say hello. Get twisted by Monica. I see you. She says, love you, Shaquana. So
Two.
uh, so keep sharing. The numbers is going up. That's right. Keep coming in. Keep liking it. Keep sharing it. See if you can get this up past be the most shared video conversation that I've done thus far because it is that important. Um, but as you all are liking it and sharing it, hey Mimi Daniels, as we are about to get started, I want to let you all know I wanted to do this conversation again because number one, I try to do conversations about things that are important, relevant, that nobody else is talking about, but it's still important. I haven't really focused on a show that caters to or just involves the women. I don't know much about this topic, but the more I talk to my guests, I realize it was something that a lot of women, girls are going through. Current mothers, mothers to be, uh, and also fathers. For the fathers who have helped to produce children with women, or fathers to be who are trying to have children with a woman. By all means, this will apply to you too, and you'll find out more about that. But as you all know, today's conversation is about overcoming infertility. Um, and my guest is Shaquana Scruggs, who is a business owner of Smudge Love. Smudge Love has actually been a sponsor of The Conversation Continues before. And she and I have, she's told me a little bit about her story, and she gave me more details about what she's at. I knew a little bit, but I didn't know as much. And the more she shared with me, the more I realized this was a conversation that needed to be had uh, for her, number one, and also for a lot of women and also dads again who are with women trying to have children, because like every conversation I've done, my hope is that we all learn something to better understand each other, um, to take that information back to our individual lives in hopes of making better decisions for ourselves and also better decisions with each other. um, and I just love to learn. I love to have an exchange of information that just gives me greater insight about things people go through that I never knew about before. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my guest, Shaquana Scruggs. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good. So are you ready to do this?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I see my sisters from my support group chiming in also.
Okay.
I'm
So
ready.
by all means, everybody come in, like it, share this conversation. As I told everybody before, let's make this the most watched conversation that I've done. To all the women, the girls specifically, because it applies so much to you. Help get this to be the most shared video, because I'm sure you know a woman, as I'm learning, who may be going through this, but they are going through it in silence. And by all means, this is a topic that is important because there are a lot of mothers in there, and I've learned there are a lot of girls out there who want to be mothers but are going through challenges. Um, so we're going to go ahead and get started. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So first question, why did you want to have this conversation and why
To bring awareness to infertility, it's considered the silent topic that and also marriage as well.
now?
Just open up about it. Me being me, I'm very open about it. And it's for everybody to understand that it's real. It's not something that you see on TV. It's something that I'm actually dealing with.
Yeah. So so I know you spoke about, again, there are a lot of girls going through it in silence. What gives you the courage to be so open and vulnerable about what you've gone through when a lot of women would choose to keep it to themselves? What gives you that? Where does that come from for you?
Well, for the longest, when I first found out, um, I was real quiet about it because there was one particular person that told me, once you start this, just keep quiet, don't tell nobody. So I sat in silence for 6 months and nobody really knew except immediate family, but I sat quiet for 6 months. During those 6 months, I went through depression and pretty much it was just me. But I did find a local support group out of Charlotte. They're called 1 in 8. And I started from there, I started seeing that I was not the only one. I was able to see infertility come from all races, not just one.
Hmm.
So the more I engaged with the group, I started opening up more. And from then I realized that talking about it actually helped me I actually got myself out of depression
Okay,
by speaking up because a lot of people won't talk about it.
got you. So I guess when you started the support group, I was there anything shocking or surprising to you when you are you still there? Uh-oh, looks like her thing froze. So we'll give her a minute to try to come back in. Looks like her screen froze. So I'm going to X her out. By all means, everybody keep liking and sharing it. We're going to try to get her back in. I'm going to try to add her back in. Shaquan, if you can, to add yourself back in. But everybody, while we're doing that, like this, share this. To all the girls, to all the women, by all means, keep sharing this. Shaquan, try to request yourself to come back in if you can. I think we kind of got thrown off a little bit, so we're going to try to get her back in here. So we're waiting on her. Uh, but hello, Letitia Barnett, Missy Maylon. Welcome everybody to the conversation. So we're just waiting on Shaquan to come back in. There was a technical difficulty. This stuff happens with Facebook Live, but she'll be back. So kind of just bear with us a little bit. But in the meantime, please share this, like this, share this with any woman, with any girl, mothers to be, fathers to be. But we're trying to get her back in. Shaquan, if you see this, try to come in whenever you can, as soon as you can. Um, and as we're having the conversation, by all means, submit your comments, submit a question for her. So that way, once we get to that point, can you all, send request. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Give me a like if you can hear me. Give me a like. Give me a something. Say no, we can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is it still low? Takira Mama says the volume is low right now. People watching, can you hear me right now? It's low. It's still low? Let me see. You can hear me. Okay. Everlasting Rose say you can still hear me. All right. you can barely hear me, try turning up your volume. Other people, if you can hear this, try let me know if you can or can't hear me. Trying to get Shaquana back in, so kind of bear with us a little bit. Facebook Live can be crazy. This is the stuff we go through. I know it's crazy, but Shaquana, try to add yourself back in. Pamela Bell says the volume is low. I don't know what's going on. So I'll try to talk. I'll try to talk as high as I can. I'll bring it up to me. So kind of just bear with me a little bit. Hey, Portia, Quaisha, everybody. So Shaquana's trying to come back in. Facebook Live. Oh, there she is. There she is. There she is. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Kind of bear with me. Oh, can you hear me?
I'm back. I don't live. I'm back.
Okay. But can you hear me though? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Facebook Live, that's crazy, but yeah, we're gonna work with it. So everybody, if you say the volume is low, just kind of turn it up. Maybe go out of your Facebook and come back in. Facebook Live is crazy like that. But Shaquana, go ahead. Do you, so I think we were talking about if there was something surprising that you learned when you got into the support group about infertility.
Surprising, just in general, knowing that I was not, by myself.
Okay.
I think the best thing was joining the support group, even though I sat in the group real quiet, but I was just trying to get familiar with everything because everything was still so fresh to me.
Okay.
I was officially diagnosed on January 6, 2017, a day before my birthday. So that date, that's another considered one of my dates that I keep in mind because that was my official diagnosis date.
Okay. So 2017 is when you started pursuing trying to have a baby.
No, I've been trying since 2002.
2002.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But 2017 was when you joined the support group, or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, support.
And I was diagnosed as well.
Okay, so that's 9 years you've been at trying to have a child, right? No, that's 19 years. 19 years. 19 years. Okay. So that leads me to my next question, because I mean that's a long time. Why is becoming a mother so important to you? Where does that come from?
Being a mother, it's important because basically when I leave this earth, I want to have a piece of me still here to pretty much take on my legacy, take over my business. Right now, I have my god kids who I love to death. I'm crazy over my god kids, and they'll be able to take on some of the responsibilities as well. But I want to be able to have a part of me left on earth as well.
Okay. So you said in 2002 is when you first started trying to have a baby. Now, was that with a boyfriend or a husband when you first started the attempt to try to have a baby?
It was with my boyfriend at the time.
Okay. So how did you when did you realize, or how did you realize there was something wrong?
After multiple attempts going back and forth to my OB, listening to my boyfriend at the time, telling me that, I would, after appointment, I'll come home and just pretty much be open about it. And he would always say, I want you to try to get a second opinion. But I was so stuck on my OB at the time, I didn't want to get a second opinion. So I just kept a little bit of faith in my OB. And my very last appointment with my doctor, I pretty much just laid it out on the table and I asked him, where is my baby? Because only thing he kept doing was doing my regular checkups, giving me prenatal pills, but never took it another step to see actually what was going on.
Okay. All right. So when you say infertility, because I took the time to kind of look up a little bit for myself, what specific type of infertility are you dealing with?
I have proximal tubal blockage on both tubes, meaning no sperm can get through at all. My tube is blocked.
Okay. But you're still producing eggs. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Is there not a way that can be reversed or fixed?
Well, actually, I've had 2 surgeries where they went in, and it's called a tubal cannulation. They went in twice to open them up. It was successful, but It's undetermined how long they will stay open. Some can stay open forever. One may close, one may stay open. In my case, each time they closed up, but we can't determine exactly the time frame that it closed. But I had 2 surgeries to get them open.
And none of them have been successful?
No, and after the procedure, after the procedure, it's an outpatient procedure. As soon as you get it done, they tell you to go home and have sex, basically.
After you get the procedure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know what caused? For the tubes to be closed like that? Was something happen?
Mine is undetermined. Some causes of blocked tubes, it can be from previous pelvic infections, STDs, any surgeries, and also birth control.
Okay. So it's not really sure about what actually caused it.
Correct.
Okay. So in dealing with your infertility, how has it affected your relationships with men? Has it affected that at all?
I'm gonna say the last relationship I was in, serious, quote unquote serious relationship, at first it seemed like, that person had my back, but it came out that they pretty much, it was all of I support you. But when everything went left, basically I had pretty much what's considered a failed cycle with IVF. It's pretty much a miscarriage. They don't like the term miscarriage, but it has to pass through. So dealing with that and knowing what to expect, my nurse was able to pretty much give me the heads up of what to expect after a failed cycle. So the day that I had my actual very first miscarriage, I sat in the bathroom for 4 hours crying. And the guy at the time, he pretty much just came in, asked me what I was going to do, and left.
Hmm.
And I was alone for 4 hours in my bathroom. My bathroom actually holds all my secrets.
So let me get this straight. So you had your miscarriage was happening in your bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And your boyfriend at the time came to the bathroom where you were, saw you, and left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did you deal with that? What was your reaction after the fact? Like, because that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't have a miscarriage, but I would assume that's a big deal for a woman to go through that, and you're with a man who I want to assume there was love there, and he comes to the bathroom, see you in that state, which is probably pain, emotionally hurt, and leave versus ask you, are you okay? Trying to get you some help. How do you deal with that?
Well, pretty much after it took me a while to get myself together. One good thing some people that I did have was my support group. Um, if it wouldn't have been for them, I probably would have lost my mind most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And by me, it don't matter, like any time of the day, I can chime into my support group and somebody is going to respond no matter what time. And that's why I love my girls and 1 in 8. I love them.
So in other words, your support group has really been kind of a saving grace in you going through this journey, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
I guess I'm learning that with women who may be going through this, a key important thing is to find a support group.
Definitely. And when I first started, I joined a different support groups, but some of them had like a real negative vibe that I was catching on. They were so mean to other women, other men as well that was in the group. And I just started deleting them left and right. But I never left my girls. I've been with them. They got my back.
Okay. Once again, everybody, we're talking to business owner of Smudge Love, Shaquana Scruggs. And before I forget, Smudge Love is her business which caters in body oils, beard oil for men, lotions, soaps, herbal lotions and soaps, candles, sage and incense. So I will provide that information after the fact, but I hope you all definitely go and check her website out. But I want to be sure I put that in there because that's important. She's been a good friend to the show, so I want to plug that in there. But by all means, continue to like and share this conversation. Women, please continue to send your good energy so she can feel that. Share that with any woman that you know, every mother that you know. Because again, this is something that we all should know about, because a lot of times we think women just get pregnant, that's it, but it's so much deeper than that. And that's what I'm learning with this conversation. And with men, even though physically you can't go through this, again, there are men who are with women trying to get pregnant. So if anything, this information can give you better insight as to what your wife, your girlfriend, the mother of your children has gone through to produce your children, or what she may go through to bear your children. And by you having this information, hopefully you can be a better support system for her. So by all means, understand that this is an everybody thing. So continue to like and share this conversation. But one thing that you were saying, Shaquana, you started getting to the notion about IVF.
Mm-hmm.
So how long before you were trying to have a baby naturally on your own, just through the natural process, until you realized, okay, I'm going to start the IVF process?
I diagnosed January 6th of 2017. By March of 2017, I jumped right into it. I got
Okay.
information for as insurance, what was covered, what was not covered, far as what I needed to do. I jumped right into it. Like literally
Okay.
jumped into it.
So from 2002 until 2017, you tried to have a baby kind of like naturally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm saying? Okay. So, I mean, with that, because that's a long period of time, how was that emotionally? Because I know you've expressed how much you wanted to have a baby. I mean, and you had your support group through those years, right?
I joined the support group in 2017, but from
2017.
2002 till 2017, I just had my family.
Okay. Was that enough? Was that enough for you, or were there even times where it might have been too much, where you probably needed more during those years, because that's a
It
lot.
was more it was more during those years. My family they've been there. Without a doubt, they will drop everything to make sure that I'm okay. Even when I first told them about this, everyone was on board, like what all you have to do. But far as the actual procedures, it was me. You know, with IBF, it's multiple doctor's appointments. My niece was able to attend a lot of my appointments. My mother attended a lot of my appointments as well, but majority of my appointments, it was just me. But that's something that I prepared myself for, because it was, when I started it, I wasn't in a relationship until that following year, but I started it by myself, and I pretty much keep that in mind, that I started it by myself, I'll finish it by myself. But
Okay.
I always have my support group and
So for
family
those,
as
so for
well.
those, so in other words, your family was, in the time before your support group, your family for you was the thing that helped you get through those tough times.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. For a girl who may not be as close to her family like you are, and she's not aware of the support group, what would you recommend?
If you're not close to your family, if you're watching and you're not close to your family, my inbox is always open. I will speak to anybody. When I tell you, by me sharing my journey, even on Facebook and on Instagram, I've spoken to so many women I didn't know they were even, around. I speak with a lady from the UK a lot. She found me on Instagram just from a simple post. And, she told me how by me being so open, it helped her start coming out and speaking more on her infertility.
Yeah.
And again, I start off as strangers with people, but I grew a bond with a lot of women. And there's some guys that have reached out to me as well, but the women are coming through, and they're simply just saying, this is what I'm going through. And I'm willing to help. I give you any information I have. I'll let you know what I went through. Because at the end of the day, I got your back, because I'm dealing with it. You're not walking the journey by yourself.
So basically what I'm hearing is that social media has really been a big, it's also another source where somebody can find the support they may not be able to get from a support group or a family. Social media has really helped. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. Yes, in my case, and I understand some people are quiet about it, which is understandable. I was that same person. I wouldn't talk to nobody about it, but once I open up, I freely talk about it with no problem. There's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing at all. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Okay. So before we get, we're going to jump into the IVF soon, but I think you touched on something that I was going to get to before, which is, again, infertility is not just a female thing. There are males who go through infertility issues.
Yes.
Have you in your support group, have you come across males in your support group dealing with this?
Well, in previous support groups that I was in, it was men and women.
Mm-hmm.
I think, men would chime in here and there, and pretty much their problem, I'm not going to say problem, their infertility was low sperm count. And some have low sperm count, some don't have any sperm at all. The sperm's not moving. It's just nothing's there.
Yeah.
And with far as the men, a lot of men are, I won't say ashamed, but they feel some type of way about it as well, because their wife, their spouse, their girlfriend, or the person that they're involved with may have to purchase sperm, which is fine. Because once you start this, you got to be on go. There will be some good days, there will be some bad days, there's stressful days. Some days I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Mm-hmm.
But every day I get up and see what's next. I'm always thinking about what I'm about to do next.
Do you think, I think when it comes to men having infertility issues, do you think they get to the point where they feel as emotional about their lacking of to help produce a child like a woman does? Do they feel it as deeply? Even though it's different, do you think a man can get to the point where he's just as deep in darkness like you've been? Do you think that's possible?
Yes, men go through it too. They may not open up as much about it, but they feel the same pain that we feel.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bit more when it comes to us.
Okay. Everybody we're talking to, business owner Shaquana Scruggs of Smudge Love. To everybody that sent the comments in good energy, keep doing that. Tracy Stratford, I see you. Thank you. Billy Jones, thank you. Shaquana, he has said thank you for sharing your story. As I've told you, this is very important. But you mentioned about IVF. For those of us like me, I know a little bit, and I've even seen it on Love and Hip Hop. No, I'm sorry, Basketball Wives with Evelyn Lozada. She went through IVF. For those who are unaware, what exactly is IVF? What does that mean?
IVF is in vitro fertilization. And what they do, you take a whole bunch of medications. Pretty much every day is daily injections. And you're pretty much preparing your eggs to get ready for retrieval. Retrieval is when they remove your eggs from your body. They take the sperm and they fertilize it in a dish, literally a dish, a little petri dish. So the stuff that you see on TV, it's real, and it's with science. Science is neat, but everything that you see on TV, as far as IVF, it is really real. But to go through it is really something to experience.
And we're gonna and Shaquana's gonna show some things related to that process. I wanna hold that off, but I wanna let people know that it may be a little shocking for people, but it's something we all need to know. It's not so shocking the fact that, again, you come with an open mind, especially men. If you know this can really help you be that much of a greater source of strength for women going through this. So Shaquana, how long before? So when again did you start going through IVF? What year did you start doing IVF?
In 2017.
2017.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When would you recommend a woman who's going through infertility issues, recommend her start exploring IVF?
I would recommend first find out exactly what's your cause for infertility. Once from there, once you get your cause for your infertility, find you a good reproductive endocrinologist, and they will pretty much will give you the breakdown of what's your next steps. What starting IVF, I didn't know too much about it. I just know that I've seen it on TV. I found out my insurance cover just a little bit, not a lot, and I just jumped right into it. But one thing that I can tell anybody, if you're thinking about it, do not go into this journey with a negative attitude, because it will stress you and it will send you through depression. You cannot have a negative attitude. Stress hurts your body and it hurts your womb.
Hmm. So how much, so when you talk about IVF, what is it? Because I know you mentioned insurance. How much does IVF cost?
Ooh. Depending on there are clinics around, none in South Carolina, but there are clinics that have payment plans, which is, there's one very well-known clinic that's in New York, which is CNY. They have payment plans, which is not bad. My first clinic that I went to was downtown Charlotte, Carolina's Women's Institute, but it's Atrium now. They're starting off up front, out of pocket, is $12,000. No medication is included in that $12,000.
So that's it. So the medication is in addition to the 12,000 just for the process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Medication can add up to over $12,000.
Okay. So when we say $12,000 for the process, tell us, and what exactly is the process? What does that look like?
Doctor's appointments, back and forth doctor's appointments, blood works constantly. Every time, when I tell you, the doctor didn't see me so much, it's ridiculous. They know me, know my body like it's me. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot. It's giving yourself injections. There's been times where I was unable to do my own injections, but I've had people to help me with my injections, and just the constant injections, back and forth doctor's appointments, blood work, procedures, taking time out of work. It's a lot. You literally be prepared for what is about to go on, because fertility medication can send you there for as emotions. Some of the medications can just, it takes over your hormones.
Mm-hmm. So when so with IVF, I know you mentioned needles. Mm-hmm. For this $12,000, how many injections, how many needles, and also, what does the needle look like? Can you show what this needle looks like? Because this is where it gets real, everybody, and because it's important.
I have different types of needles. Let's see. Hold 1 second. And I've saved a lot of my needles. I did lose a box of them. I have the slightest idea where they are, but majority of my needles I do save.
And we'll get into that.
So this is like the easiest injection that I had to do.
Okay.
It doesn't have a needle on it, so you can see it. This pen alone starts off at $900 for one.
Okay. Is that within that 12,000 that you're talking about?
Oh no, this is medication.
That's the medication.
Separate. Mm-hmm.
So 900 on top of the 12,000 that you've already paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is one of my daily injections. It can be used for whichever medications I'm on. Some of them can use this, but this is my actual needle. That's exactly, I'm not sure how it's showing up, but that's how it looks. But this particular needle is just to draw up the medication. So this is not what's going inside, but this is just to draw it up.
And that's just medication. And that's just medication?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have to do those daily, or how often do you have to do those?
Dependent, every day.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. Sometimes I've done 2 or 3 injections, sometimes 2. The most injections I've done in one day was 4.
Was 4 of those needles.
Yeah, well, these are some of the smaller ones, and then this one is like very. See how small that is? That's
Yeah.
nothing compared to the bigger ones. And some of them go in your stomach, some go in your arm. My last cycle that I did went in my hips. So I'm currently still dealing with the after effect from it, and it can last for a long time.
And this is a daily thing that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Even for me as a man, and that's a lot.
Yeah,
And I
it
am
is.
shocked, to even to go get a shot, as a regular doctor checkup. I can't imagine having to, you know, do needles on a daily basis. To me, number one, that not only makes you strong, but it just makes me wonder, like, it definitely shows how much you want a baby, because that is a lot. And I have to wonder, um, how much of a toll. I know it's taking a toll on you physically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was there ever a time where you were like, this is too much, I cannot do this anymore? And when it was, what made you keep going?
Yes, it's been plenty of times. I've actually, and when I first started, I would not take a break. A lot of girls in my group can vouch for that. I would literally jump right back into it. I'll give myself time, no more than 30 days. As soon as another cycle appears, I was calling my doctor, jumping right back into it.
Yeah.
My third IVF cycle, I was in the process of doing the egg retrieval where they were getting my eggs out. I went through a bad coughing spasm. My oxygen levels dropped,
Mhm.
and they had to hurry up and wake me up because I was finna just go.
Yeah.
They stopped the procedure and get me up. When I woke up from the procedure, my doctor, my RE doctor at the time, was, standing down at the bottom of my bed, and I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out what was wrong because I could see it in her eyes, and I kept asking her, and she said, we had to stop the procedure because you went into a bad coughing spasm and it caused your oxygen levels to drop. So we had to stop it and get you up. And I kept saying, so am I going to go somewhere else? Because at the time I was pretty much with doing the medications and preparing for the egg retrieval. I do gain weight, and I can gain up to, the most I've gained is 20 pounds, and my stomach does start to round off as if it looks like I'm 4 months pregnant, but that's just because my eggs have pretty much doubled in size from the medication.
Okay.
They had to stop the procedure because of that, and they were able to get one egg out, and I was anxious, but then I was hurt at the same time because I had been prepared. I considered, 3 times as a charm. That was my third IVF cycle.
Okay.
So after that, they do the testing on the egg. That particular egg was considered abnormal, so it pretty much didn't make it. Um, After that procedure, I came home and I told myself, no, Shaquana, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. Whether if it's a month, 2, 3, a year, you need to take a break because my body was tired.
So you've never done the IVFs back to back to back. It's if you take breaks in between doing the
No, I
IVF.
back to back.
You
I,
have done it back to back. Wow.
I've done them back to back.
So and make sure I'm understanding IVF. So IVF doesn't it's mainly about the eggs. It's not about your tubes to get sperm through. It's just about your eggs, right?
Correct. If you go through IVF, you're not using your tubes because once they do the egg retrieval and they fertilize your egg, it becomes an embryo.
Okay.
An embryo is a baby. For anybody to think it's an embryo is a baby, no matter how small, this baby. It's
That's a
fertilized.
live, a living
Yes, it's a baby.
situation.
It's a
Okay.
baby.
Okay. So you're pulling the eggs out through IVF. So now we get into, I guess, fertilization of the eggs.
Hmm.
So explain that. Explain what happens next. How does the fertilization happen? Is it from a boyfriend? How does that work? How does that work?
With fertilization, you can do it with your boyfriend, your husband. Me personally, I've purchased sperm twice from 2 different sperm banks. Sperm is not cheap.
How much?
To go on these sites for sperm banks, it is real interesting to pick all the way from hair color, eye color, their zodiac sign, their age, what they major in school. You're able to see their family history, their all the way down family history. You can pay a little bit more to get more details. It's real interesting looking into sperm banks. Far as the pricing, that can vary. My first donor that I purchased, I paid, it totaled out to 2800
$2,800.
for 2 vials. That's literally this big. That's
Okay.
small. Vials are small. My second donor that I purchased, I found it on another website that my RE referred to as well. That purchase, I want to say it was like 1300. It wasn't.
13.
It wasn't a lot compared
Okay.
to most donors that I've seen. And another thing, with the sperm banks, some of the donors are high demand, but egg donors and sperm donors are high demand.
Okay. So it's 12,000 for IVF,
Mm-hmm,
2,700 for the sperm for
mm-hmm,
fertilization, and then
mm-hmm.
the 900 for the medication. Medication,
That's
right?
one medication.
One
I-
medication.
yeah, the
Huh?
medication, it can vary depending if your insurance doesn't cover it. I mean, I've had a lot of support with getting my medication with what my insurance didn't cover. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but most of my medications were covered. They do have to go through like a prior authorization, but
Mm-hmm.
some of my medications was not covered, and I had to pay out of pocket for medication. If say if somebody wasn't able to help me, I had to pay for it.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
So, I mean, so financially, how has that affect? I mean, it's a lot of money, but financially, has that really does that put you in a bond financially? Because that's a lot of money. Even me with a a salary job or living with, that's a lot of money. So how has that affected you being spending that kind of money like that?
It does put you in a bind. I put off buying a house to have a baby. So everything for anything in regards to me getting a house, that's on my back burner because I'm focusing on having a child.
Is that important to you?
Yes.
And you know what? And you know what I say? And I say this to all people. We may not understand why people want the things they want, but as I said with these conversations, it's about understanding the humanity. And if anything, it's about providing empathy. Uh, and there are women going through this. You're not the only woman going through this, and they keep this to themselves because of the shame of infertility.
Mhm.
Then maybe the process. So for you being vulnerable like this, once again, I commend you. Once again, everybody, this is Shaquana Scruggs, the business owner of Smudge Love, talking about her journey to her fight to become a mother, to overcome her infertility issues. By all means, continue to share and like this. Again, to all the women mothers, if you can't make this the most shared conversation, so keep sharing this and keep sending your good energy. So Shaquana, with IVF, how has it worked for you?
Um, Last year, January, and I'm sorry, not January, December 20th, my, let's see, this would have been my fifth try. I got a confirmed pregnancy. Um, December 20th, confirmed pregnancy. I still had my doctor's appointments. I drive to Cary, North Carolina, which is 3 hours. It's a 3 hour drive. Me, I have a heavy foot and I speed. So I got it down to 2.5 hours. But
Mm-hmm.
I constantly, every week, I was going to the doctor to get my blood levels checked to make sure they kept increasing because my babies was growing.
Mm-hmm.
I transferred to, my numbers were real high. But unfortunately, January 5th this year, I lost my babies.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I was in the middle of working and my body just didn't feel right. I called my mom and told her to come get me because it's just something wasn't right. I called my mom and I called Two of my sisters out my group, Missy and Ashley. I called them as well, and I was in full tears, telling them what was going on. I went to my OB down here. No nurse was available to see me, so they transported me to Piedmont. I got to Piedmont around 3 o'clock that afternoon, and I literally sat in the wait. I waited for about an hour to even get in the room. When I finally got in the room, I kept asking them to check me. It took them forever to check me. So in the process of waiting, I lost my babies. And it took a toll on me because, with COVID going on, no one could come in the room with me. But my biological mom works at the hospital. She made it her point to get down there to make sure I was okay. And when she walked in the room, she was quiet because I literally was in tears. And I just kept telling her, Mom, my baby's gone. And she sat that, she sat in there with me because she was still working, but she was able to be with me for about 30 minutes, but she had to go back to work. And it was just me and God.
So this was a miscarriage.
Yeah, I felt and seen everything.
So how many? So and I know you mentioned earlier that you had. How many miscarriages have you had?
From 2017 till now, I've lost a total of 8.
8 babies.
And embryos are babies.
8 babies.
No matter
have you
how.
ever thought you might need therapy after going through all that?
Oh, I start therapy March 1st. I do have my days where I don't want to be bothered. Then I have some okay days, but when I tell you people constantly check on me every day, 2 people that I know that constantly check on me is Kiki and Monica. They check on me a lot. My support group, they check on me a lot.
Wow. Everybody, this is Shaquana Scruggs, business owners, much love. Continue to share the conversation, like the conversation, continue to send your good energy. I see some of the crying emojis. I get it. It's a lot. But it's important that we have this. And again, I so commend and appreciate her for being so vulnerable. Shaquana, you okay?
I'm fine.
You good? Okay. I'm proud of you.
I'm fine.
I know when you talked about, the last miscarriage that you had, you mentioned that you said my biological mother. So were you adopted? Is that what you?
Yes.
Okay. So with you being adopted, have you considered that maybe instead of going through having naturally or IVF, then maybe adoption might be the best route for you? Have you thought about that?
Adoption is my last option. For everybody that's watching, if you know somebody that's going through this, do not automatically say you should adopt. Before you even get that thought in your mind, I want you to look up the price of legal adoption, and that will change your whole perspective of approaching somebody to say, well, maybe you should adopt. Adoption is not cheap. The last I looked at the most recent update, starting off legal adoption. I'm not talking about this person's giving their baby, they want you to adopt them. No, legal way, court fees, court costs, therapy, the legal way, it can start off from, I think it's like 25,000 and up. So adoption is not something, you want to tell somebody right then and there, well, maybe you should adopt. No, maybe you should look up the price and then come back to me and have a conversation and we can talk about it. Because I've had people, one thing with this, I've had people say some stuff not realizing what they were saying. At first, I was real weak when I started this. So I let a lot of people's comments get by. But when I got my strength, my comebacks, or just, I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings, but I want you to know this is what I'm going through. Yeah. There's certain way to talk to people that's dealing with this, men and women. There's a certain way to, even if you don't understand it. Me, if anybody that knows me and everybody that's watching that knows me on that level, if you ask me anything, or all you have to do is say, well, what you doing? Can you explain it to me? I don't mind telling anybody, this is what I'm doing. This is how I go about it. Once again, for those watching, if you're going through this, thinking about it, my inbox is always open. Feel free. You can message me anytime. I don't mind talking to anybody.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I've heard people say, when it comes to the whole IVF, or women trying, going through IVF, maybe they should adopt. So what I'm hearing you say is, as a way of being empathetic, understanding, do not go to a woman that's going through this and say to her, well, maybe you should adopt. I mean, is that something the woman should come to on her own, Shaquana, or is there at any point that you can say it, or should you just keep it to yourself?
Some people don't know how to approach people, with it, or just some people just don't know how to approach it. Everybody that I've come in contact with, everybody that pretty much known me since I was little, I'm an open person. I'm very friendly. I'm very friendly. I'm easy to talk to. I'm not gonna say I know everybody, but I know a good amount of people. And far as me having, like, I've had somebody reach out to me and they told me, they just wanted some general information, and I gave it to them, and I told them, if you're thinking about it, do not have a bad attitude starting off, because it's going to drain you up front. You don't need it. I didn't have nobody to give me that information when I started. I jumped right into it, but only thing that somebody told me, don't keep quiet, don't tell nobody.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the person that told me that in 2017, she reached out to me again. I want to say last year or the year before. She reached out to me again, and the message didn't go as nice, because I pretty much told her, I say, when you came to me, you told me to don't tell nobody. I say, but by me not telling nobody, I said, I went through my first stage of depression based off of your view of keep quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, when I did it and I didn't tell nobody, I got a successful pregnancy. Well, that's congratulations. But it's been times where I've done a cycle and nobody knew, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and I end up blocking her, because in all honesty, I don't want your negative energy. If you don't like, if you follow me on any of these social sites and you don't like when I talk about my infertility or my journey, please delete yourself, so I can make room for some people that need me, or need somebody to talk to, because I'd rather have some positive people or some energy versus this one negative vibe. You got to go, and I blocked her.
Yeah. So in other words, positive energy is important for any woman going through this process, this journey. Okay.
Yes, it is.
So I know earlier you mentioned, so we were talking about, I guess, fertilization of, like your IVF eggs, and you picking a sperm donor. What was the process like? Like what were you looking for in a sperm donor? What specific type of man? What were you looking for your child?
And well, some clinics will tell you to kind of give you a breakdown of the certain type of donors to look for, not for as like the race or anything, but some of the testing that the men have to get done, they have to be able to match my testing.
What do you mean by that?
I make I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've been on the site, but they pretty much they have to match me in a way, for as in testing wise. I can't think of the name of it off top.
Okay.
But far as the donor that I chose, I didn't have a preference. I didn't care if they were black, white, purple, or green. I didn't care. I just needed the donor. I didn't have no preference. One thing with a lot of the sites, and this is open to anybody. If you have a certain preference for as race, I can honestly say there's not a lot of Black donors, and I'm not sure why, but there's not a lot of Black donors, but there are plenty of biracial people, biracial men. There's Chinese, Vietnamese, Spanish, Germans. It's so much. You literally can filter what you're looking for, all the way down to the price. You can go from low to high.
So, because you mentioned testing, so when you say testing, are the testing, it's like questions you answer about yourself?
Yes, and it has to do with your blood. It has to do with the testing. They want you to be a match for us. It has something to do with your blood type.
Okay.
At my first clinic asked for this particular information. With my new clinic, I haven't had to purchase any sperm with my new clinic.
Okay.
And there's a reason, but we'll get into that.
Okay. So I know you mentioned, like, you weren't so much concerned with race, and you just wanted the sperm. So characteristics of the sperm guy, like if he was tall, if he was short, what kind of skills did he have? None of that not interest you? And
somebody it's called CMV. She just my sister. She just that's the name of it.
Okay.
As far as characteristics, I didn't care. I'm not no judge. I'm not judging. I'm not a picky person. I'm very easy. Literally, I'm not picky. I'm an easy person to please. If I see something I like, I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
And pretty much, everyone, when I talk about the sperm bank, and a lot of people, when I say it, they look at me like, "Are you serious?" But I call it Build a Baby Daddy website, because you pretty much you picking out your child's father. And
not Build a Bear.
A lot of people look at me and then they was like, you have so much energy and you can make a joke when you going through a lot. I say you have to. You have to. I'm one thing, I'm glad I got my sense of humor from my daddy, because if I didn't have my sense of humor and me being on this journey, I would literally lost my mind.
Yeah.
But you can't, I know it's easier said than done, but since I've been say it, you gotta stay up. You gotta stay up.
So the characteristics of the man, as long as he was healthy,
exactly,
you weren't concerned about all the physical aspects of him.
Exactly. And another thing with the site, you can see which donors are in high demand. Those will go to first, because and another thing with the clinics, they want you to make sure the donor has had successful pregnancies. And on the site you can see, it'll say it'll let you know that this donor has had successful pregnancies. That lets you know those little things in there working. So them the ones that you look for.
Okay. Now, do you ever get to see a picture of who?
Some donors have pictures. They start off with their baby pictures. If you want to see more pictures, some sites you can pay like $39 and you can get pretty much like a whole photo album. One site you get to listen to their voice. You get to hear reviews from their doctor's office that they went to on, how they feel about the donor. It's real interesting to go through that, because I used to always see it on TV, a sperm bank, and I used to be like, it's really a sperm bank. And then boom, here it comes. Shaquana, you're looking at sperm banks.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you know what, and I have to say that this is humorous, but talking to you, it is not so humorous. Do you remember times in high school back in the night? One of the things people used to say, and especially in high school, one of the jokes people would make about other friends, they would call them a test tube baby. Do you remember that joke?
Yeah.
Thinking about that now, does that have a different connotation for you? Or do you think differently about that?
You know what? One of my nurses at the clinic I was going to in Charlotte, she actually had this pen, and it literally was a test tube with a little image of a baby floating in it. And when first seen it, I asked, I said, can I have that pen? And she was like, why? I said, because that's a real test tube baby. And she died laughing. But I was so serious. And when I tell you I've gained a bond with my doctors, the
Yeah.
nurses, my lab techs. Oh,
Yeah.
when I get my blood work done, if I know it's a new person drawing my blood, I always get them. It never fails. And
Yeah.
I'm so used to needles, and they always say, it may hurt. And I just be like, okay. And if I know if it's a new lab tech, as soon as they
Yeah.
poke, I'll be like, ouch. And it's like, I'm sorry. And I'll be like, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Because I've seen worse needles than what you're doing to get this blood.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, I think it's great. Like you said, is a needed aspect to have a sense of humor. So I definitely understand you when you say that. Everybody, again, this is Shaquana Scruggs, business owner of Smudge Love. Keep sharing the conversation. Keep sending your comments. Women, girls, I see you sending the good energy to her. She sees it. I see it. Men, I see you have made comments that you realize how important this is, especially fathers. So by all means, keep sharing and liking this. Get this up so that at the end, we can see this is the most shared conversation. Women, do this for yourselves. Let it be known that, the girl power that you say you have. So get this to 100 shares. Let's see if we can do that. Shaquana, do you want to have a boy or a girl?
I don't, when it comes to that, I don't mind what I have. I want a healthy baby or babies. I have 3 goddaughters and a godson.
Yeah.
So if a boy comes, we gonna love him,
Yeah.
but whatever comes, I'm prepared for it either way. If it's more than one, okay. If it's 2, if it's 3, if it's 4, whatever comes, my support system is
Yeah.
from my group members that are my sisters. I call all of them my sisters, and all the way down to my family. Whatever comes, my family and my support system got me.
Yeah.
And one thing, a lot of people always saying you never ask for anything, and I don't. It's very hard for me to ask for anything. And one thing I've learned, with my group, ask, because you never know what can go on. And Missy Maylott and Ashley Maylott, I love y'all. I love y'all.
Very nice. So I remember you. So I know earlier you started mentioning about when we talked about the fertilization of eggs, and I know side conversations you and I have had. You were actually given free fertilized eggs from someone. Talk about that a little bit, because I thought that was profound.
2008, end of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I try to keep up with the dates and years. I got a mess. I had just had a failed IVF cycle.
Yeah.
And my messages went off on Facebook. So I realized it was somebody that I was close to. And she told me that she had 4 embryos remaining. They were frozen. And, her and her spouse talked it over, and she wanted to gift them to me.
Wow.
So I literally cried for like 3 days. And I told my group members about it. And it's like the biggest blessing I've received, because with having the embryos already there, that's less medication, and the only
Yeah.
thing you have to do is transfer the
Yeah.
embryo. I to this day, she checks in on me, I check in on her. I'm able to watch her child grow up. I still thank her to this day, because I met her, she was a complete stranger, and I grew a bond with her from my group.
Wow. You
And
know what that tells me, and that I think that's one of my hopes for this conversation. As why I keep telling women watching this, by all means, please keep liking and sharing this. My hope is, and I know this is a lot, my hope is that somehow, some way, maybe through the liking and sharing this, which is why this is so important, that maybe a doctor, a specialist, or somebody will see this and have access or be privy to some information that may can help you in the way that you haven't been able to receive before and give you the miracle that you hope for. That's my hope. That's my prayer for you. I know that's a lot, but what I've learned in life, you never know what can happen until you put it out there. And which, based on what you just said about being given a gift like that from complete strangers, you never know what can happen, which again, which is why what makes this conversation so strong and so powerful, along with the fact that I pray and hope that there's women, girls going through this who haven't been able to talk about it. They're getting some type of closure, some type of peace about what they're going through, and maybe even reach out to you, but just to know that there is another woman going through this. So, but I sincerely hope that there's a miracle out there that will come about for you because you're willing to be this open and this vulnerable. Uh, so, we're coming to a close. We have gone over a lot. And if anybody has any questions before we go, we're gonna stay on a little bit, but get your questions, your questions in right quick so she can try to answer. But Shaquana, let me ask you, number one, how do you feel? How do you feel?
Today, today has been a good day for me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my days have been iffy, and I do work throughout the day, but sometimes when I get off, I will just lay around, and I just be in my own zone because I start thinking about my babies.
Mm-hmm.
And if it get too bad, I'll reach out to anybody in my support group. I can ping them, send them a quick message. They respond. They don't waste no time. They don't ask no questions. And when I reach out to people, the first thing they say, "Are you okay?"
Okay.
That's like, because I do know it's depression. Depression is real. Postpartum is real.
Mm-hmm.
And some people won't speak up on it. Me, I talk about it. Just if you currently got, if you dealing with this, and if anything negative is around you or in your circle, please remove it, because it's going to drive you crazy.
Gotcha.
Anything negative, whether it's family, friends, associates, remove it. You can love family from a distance. If it's somebody in your family, you can love. I love you, but you got to stay away from me. I don't want your energy. I need surrounded by positive energy, positive vibes. I need somebody that's, if I fall down, somebody gonna say, "Shaquana, get up. You got something to do." One of my best friends, he always used to tell me, when he found out I was going through this, he would say, exhaust all your options. If you feel like, you having any doubts about anything, he say, just keep going. If anybody don't mean you any good, get rid of them. You don't need it. You don't need it at all. Because since I've been through it, I've dealt with people not good energy. I eventually got them out of my circle. I don't need it whether it was a relationship or a friendship. If I felt a vibe or energy, you had to go, because I don't need it. I've like I said earlier, I've had people say some hurtful stuff. I've had people throw stuff in my face, but that was back in 2017 when I didn't know anything. But now, if somebody, I see a lot of people on Facebook talking, and they'll say, some people try to comfort other people that can't. But if you try me on that level, I would take. I'm not gonna say take it there, but I'll let you know it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, because eventually you'll eat those words. I'm a strong farmer.
I want to say I'm proud of you. I thank you for doing this conversation. You've definitely taught me some things. I hope that everybody watching, you have learned this, learned something from this conversation. The love has been coming through, and you'll probably see it after this. But I want to remind everyone, like this, share this, women, share this, men, share this, because this is not just a woman thing. Um, it's going to be up on the Facebook page for you to watch and play over again, and it'll be on the YouTube page. I'm saying these things now because I'm going to give Shaquana the ability to have the last word. And so, Shaquana, I want you to look at the camera, and I want you to. There's a girl watching right now. That one girl. I know girls or women, but if there was just one girl looking at this, going through this right now, and you only got one chance to give her something to leave with, and you're going to have the last word. I want you to look in the camera right now, and I want you to talk to her and give her what you think are the best words possible to leave her with as we end this conversation. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Go.
So if you're currently watching or know somebody that's dealing with this, I'm gonna leave with this. No matter what, you're not alone. Even at times you feel like no one is listening, you're absolutely not alone. It's people out there. Some people, if you kind of scared to approach a person, feel free to reach out to me. I can let you know about support groups, let you know any information I have. Just know you're not alone. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Also, if I would hope, somebody that's dealing with this, pick up your Bible and research some women that will literally put you in another place. Is women of the Bible that were unable to conceive, but considered barren, but they were able to conceive. So just know at the end of the day, you're not alone. Um, don't be scared to talk about it. I know it may take some time for other people. Some people are not open about it, but if you cross paths with me, I eventually want you to be able to get comfortable to at least tell somebody, talk to somebody, because there are a lot of women that won't even, a lot of their family members don't know what they're going through.
Everybody, thank you for joining the conversation. Shaquana, thank you. And with that being said, the conversation will continue. I don't know how, I don't know what about, but it will. Good night, everybody. Shaquana, love you.
Love
Thank you.
you.
And then we'll talk. Good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
Good night.